Hey babe, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you're here today. I'm going to teach you a breath technique, a breathing practice that you can do to really energize your body, to detoxify, to oxygenate your blood, to give you a boost of energy and propel you forward to take action and create transformation because it generates a lot of heat in the body. So it's called Breath of Fire, and if you are not familiar with it, I'm very excited to teach you. If you are, this will still be really beneficial to watch and just learn more about it. I'm going to talk to you about what Breath of Fire is, how it works, and then do a tutorial on it as well. It's not a breathing practice that's just done on its own. Breath of Fire is actually incorporated into a lot of Kundalini yoga because of the effect it has on your energy, and so you'll see it in future kriyas and things that I teach. So I wanted to do an introduction on it here where you can have all the information in this one video and just learn about this breathing technique and then be able to move it into kriyas with you. So Breath of Fire is a rapid but light pumping of the navel as you breathe in and out through the nose. It's rhythmic, it's usually done very quickly, but you can slow it down to find your pace and your comfort level with it. And the navel pulls in as you push the air out through the nose as you exhale, and then it relaxes as you draw the air in. And that exhale is more of that pushed breath, that kind of forced breath, but the inhale will start to happen naturally. And the whole rhythm and flow of it really starts to happen naturally the more that you practice it and get used to this type of breath pattern. But it can be a little bit jarring or uncomfortable when you first start it. And so I just want to say that a few contraindications that you should know about. If you are pregnant or if you're on the first 3 days of your menstrual cycle, you don't want to do Breath of Fire. You just want to do long, deep breathing anywhere where you would do Breath of Fire in a kriya. If you feel like the Breath of Fire is giving you panic or anxiety is coming up around it, or if you feel like you're running out of air, like you're hyperventilating, it's making you uncomfortable, then you just want to either slow down the pace a lot or do long deep breathing and then come back to it. It really takes practice to find this equal inhale and exhale and naturally contract the abdominal muscles when you push the air out and relax them when you bring the air in. That takes practice, like navigating that rhythm, because a lot of us, I think there's been a lot of talk about breath work and proper diaphragmatic and belly breathing. So there's more information on this now, I feel, but a lot of times we're taught when we breathe in, our navel should pull in. And I remember doing that when I was younger. Like I'd breathe in, I'd be like, so like the navel pulls in, but that's actually constricting your lungs, constricting your diaphragm. So it's actually meaning that you can't get as much breath as you would. It's called paradoxical breathing. So that's like reverse breathing essentially. But when we breathe naturally, when we inhale, the belly should expand. It should come out. So it's, and the navel comes all the way out. And then on the exhale, the navel draws in really subtly in a natural rhythm of breath. And when you're beginning this practice of Breath of Fire, it's really recommended that you start small, like 1 minute, then maybe 2, then maybe 3. And you can do this for 31 minutes at a time. I don't think I've ever done Breath of Fire for 31 minutes at a time. That's a really long time period to do Breath of Fire. But, you know, I've done it for 3 minutes, I've done it for 7 minutes, and you can slowly work your way up. But you want to start small with this practice so that you can find your rhythm and find that pace and start to build the abdominal, like it's almost like a muscle memory that happens when you do this breath. So what does Breath of Fire do? Breath of Fire invigorates the brain, it strengthens the nervous system, it oxygenates the blood, it creates heat in the body, which creates transformation in your body, in your mind, in your soul. It also expands your lung capacity and increases your vital energy. So it's really a go-to practice for somebody who has low energy or for somebody who wants a boost of energy. It's kind of like a natural, like a breath work version of a cup of coffee, but it's not going to give you the jitters. It's just going to mobilize you into action. So if you're familiar with polyvagal and that dorsal vagal state of the nervous system, which is also like dissociation, shutdown, just like detachment. It's very reminiscent of depression and kind of not having energy to do anything and not having motivation, not having the desire. Doing Breath of Fire mobilizes you from dorsal vagal and shutdown to that sympathetic state. And so you're getting that energy in the body, you're activating it without activating the nervous system in a negative way, like caffeine does. It's a nervous system stimulant. So Breath of Fire is still a nervous system regulation tool, but it mobilizes you. So if you operate a lot in sympathetic energy, like fight or flight, Breath of Fire is still safe for you to do, but I wouldn't recommend doing this if you are actively in fight or flight. If you are actively in like a survival response, you wouldn't do Breath of Fire, because that's going to generate more heat. It's going to, generate more energy. And what you're trying to do when you're in that sympathetic fight or flight response is calm the energy down. But there are times in our life where when we're not operating in that response, and maybe we're more prone to having anxiety or anxious thoughts or fear-based emotions that create a lot of that sympathetic energy, but we're not fully in fight or flight. What Breath of Fire can do is it can help detoxify and kind of burn off the things that get you into that state. The emotions, the trauma, the feelings, the just extra energy. It's kind of like exercise. When you're exercising, you're generating a lot of heat in the body. You're moving the body, maybe rapidly, maybe slowly, but you're creating heat, which is like burns off kind of extra energy. I always said when I was younger, like burning off extra energy that I was using to worry. So that's how I would like regulate my nervous system a lot with exercise. And Breath of Fire is like the exercise, like heat burning that off version of breath work. It is like the fastest, quickest pace of breath that generates the most heat and the most energy. It doesn't mean that you're going to feel like you're on fire when you're doing this practice or anything. You can still feel very comfortable when you're doing Breath of Fire, but I just want to make sure to say that it's still a safe practice to do, even if you have a tendency to be anxious, but I wouldn't do it if I was in fight or flight. I would do something like left nostril breathing or sitali pranayama, or even alternate nostril breathing, or just long deep breathing, segmented breath, holding the breath at the top and relaxing it, really activating that ventral vagal state in polyvagal theory, or your parasympathetic, your body's natural calm response, and like down regulating that nervous system so that you can like come back to a space of calm. Breath of Fire isn't off limits to people who struggle with anxiety. I have done a lot of Breath of Fire in my life, even when I had a lot of anxiety in my life. So it's very safe for that. Just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. Breath of Fire also balances the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, which is why it's so regulating for the body. So it brings balance to those two states, because we want to be able to move to parasympathetic calm energy and to sympathetic mobilizing energy back and forth. And when we can really easily fluctuate between the two and like generate energy when we need it and generate calm when we need it, that's when we have this like really amazing vagal tone and this really amazing like nervous system response and this really healthy balanced nervous system. And Breath of Fire actually helps to balance that. It obviously strengthens the navel center. It's the home of your personal power, your creativity. It activates that chakra, that third chakra. So it really strengthens your abdominal muscles too, because we're, really overly pulling that navel in as we push the air out and building strength in those muscles. It also increases your physical endurance. It boosts your immune system, and it synchronizes biorhythms. So it's a really incredible breath practice, and I recommend it for everyone, except if you're pregnant or you're on the first 3 days of your menstrual cycle, or if it feels really uncomfortable for you. Then you can, slowly work your way into it. And this is a breath that you can always slow down when you're doing it, and you can always take breaks from. There are no rules. You guys get to do this the way that feels good for your body. So if you wake up one morning and you're doing a Kriya with me and there's Breath of Fire and you can do it, you're not pregnant and you're not on your menstrual cycle, and you start doing it, it doesn't feel good, just do long deep breathing. It's always the invitation. There are no rules. There's nothing that says you have to do the posture with Breath of Fire or you will not receive the benefit. Just do long deep breathing. It's just, it creates a different kind of energy, and our bodies need different things on different days. So just always pay attention to that with your body. So now let's get into the tutorial portion. Now that you understand what Breath of Fire is, and if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to get back to you. So one of the easiest ways to learn this practice is to pant like a dog. So that's what I want you to do. You can open or close your eyes if you want. You're gonna stick your tongue outside of your mouth and you're just gonna pant like a dog. And I want you to do that for a few seconds just to see what that feels like. So let's do it together. When you pant like a dog, does your navel naturally, your belly naturally pull in a little? Yeah, it does, right? It pulls in just a little bit. And you're not even thinking about it. It's just how you pant. It's how you make that sound that your belly moves that way. So you practice that way, then when you're ready, you close your mouth and you emulate that through the nose. So it'll look like this. Then go back to the panting. And that is the rhythm. Breath of Fire can even be a little bit faster than that, or it can be a little bit slower. So let's practice it a little bit slower. So inhale all the way with your nose. Exhale halfway and begin. Putting your hand on your navel might help a little bit, and just finding that slow rhythm. So we're accentuating that movement a little bit more. And then you can go back to that panting if that works, to try to find that rhythm. It can be as slow or as fast as feels good to you. It's really just about accentuating that navel pull until it becomes more of a natural rhythm for you. The last piece of this breath is as you start to have that navel pull be less accentuated, because you don't want it to be so accentuated that you're like actually pulling it in and really focusing on it. It really does happen naturally, which is why we practice. And it doesn't need to be like really strong. It's just this kind of like subtle pull in, just like when you're panting like a dog, you don't even notice. Another piece is you want to try to keep the inhale and the exhale equal. So that inhale is natural, but that exhale, you don't want that exhale to be like, right? You want them to be a little bit more rhythmic, like. So that same, we're having that same exchange of air in as we do out. They're equal in length. And that's Breath of Fire, guys. We're going to use this in different practices, but what I want to do right now is just do a minute of it with you. And I want you to close your eyes and just find your own rhythm. I'm going to do my own rhythm here and do it along with me. And let's just see what our body feels like when we practice this. So first, close your eyes and take a couple long deep breaths and just start to notice where your body is today. Grounding some of that energy and just noticing where you are, noticing how you're feeling, noticing the sensations in your body. Where do you have space? Where do you have tension? Just becoming aware. And if it feels good to bring your hand to your navel for awareness, you can do that. Otherwise, just leaving them on your knees or in your lap. We'll take a big inhale, exhale halfway, and begin Breath of Fire. Inhale. Hold the breath, suspending it for a moment. And exhale, let it go. Keep your eyes closed and just observe how your body has changed, how your energy has changed. Noticing and observing the body is such an amazing and beautiful practice when we just bring awareness to what's happening within us. We understand ourselves better, we trust ourselves more, and we build a deep connection with our body, which is so important in understanding what we need and what we want. And when you're ready, you can flutter your eyes open. I would love to hear from you in the comments of how Breath of Fire feels to you. If you've done it a bunch of times and you love it, if you've done it a bunch of times and you don't like it, if this felt really good for you and you're somebody who's doing this for the first time, just share your experience in the comments. I love to connect with you guys so much. I love you, and I will see you soon. Mwah.